It's okay, Night Bride. Tucked in the corner of soft black fabric surrounding me, a golden fuzzy blanket covering my lap, windows at my back and to my right, trees and shrubs outside backing the bay window. Daffodils blanketed the ground beneath all the greenery, starting to bloom in February, so early. I was in one of my favorite chairs, the black one I sit in when the sun is peeking through the gray clouds. Is it a chair or a love seat? It's between the two. Two could easily sit comfortably on this place if they like to be close. I was alone, tucked into the corner, thinking of you, thinking about the previous day's conversation, your words lingering in my head as you exited the car. We're not going to fight, are we? I was stunned by your question, shamed by it, because I understood why you asked it. Our history of these conversations has led to an impassioned plea, my plea, that sounds a lot like a fight by anyone outside my head. These pleas typically occur in the car as I transitioned you from one place to another: art, ice skating, rowing, school, meeting your friends. The list expands and contracts depending on the year or the season. I place my hand over my heart. No, baby, I really want to understand your perspective. I'd love to continue the conversation after your art class if you're willing. After art, you went skiing. After skiing, you slept. After sleep, you needed a ride to the cafe to see your friend. After that, your dad picked you up and brought you back to the house where you lived during the week to attend high school. I used this after time to reflect, tucked into the corner, covered with a gold blanket. I knew I could wedge myself into your afters, but that felt too forced. The spaces between our time together are my refinement periods, slowing our conversations down so I don't run you over with my ardent guidance. From the angle of my coziness, I saw through the closed double glass doors that separated this room from the foyer a picture of you, me, and your brother, hanging on the wall. Instead of filtering out the reflection on the glass, I incorporated this layer into what I was seeing. Fairy lights strung along the fireplace mantel reflected on the glass doors. The golden lights looked like they were floating across the picture, connecting the three of us. You were 9, your brother 11. Sebastian and I were sitting on a bench behind you, my arm casually draped around him. He was shielding his eyes from the glaring sun we were all facing. He was wearing a black t-shirt with a periodic table of Minecraft imprinted on it. I was wearing white and a yang symbol dangling on a chain around my neck. I wore sunglasses, my light eyes too sensitive to the later winter afternoon sun. The backdrop was a slightly blurred forest since it wasn't the focus. We were the focus. You were standing in front of us, partially blocking my right side. Your left hand was on your cocked hip, your midsection fully exposed because your right hand was shooting straight up to the sky, fist pumping, causing your top to hike up. The fist pump was braced because you had fallen at school on the playground, spraining your wrist. My fingertips were resting on your right bare hip. Your t-shirt was all black. The negative space, blocked out by white, said, "Savage," in all caps. The wind blew your blonde wavy hair across your face and neck. Your lips peeking through were slightly pursed. You also wore sunglasses like me. I think they were mine, because they were so large for your sweet face, and like mine, they were rose-colored. From my vantage point of the layered reflections, the octagonal window next to the fireplace added another dimension. The string of fairy lights that connected us ended with you, where the 8-sided window began. It looked like you were halfway through that window. Your fist pump was inside the octagonal opening. You were stepping firmly into that portal while we were connected by those golden fairy lights, like you were saying, "You guys, check out what I can do." And we were saying, "You do you. We are right here at your back, chilling." Incorporating the reflection was necessary to understand, to see clearly. our previous day's interaction. Can we stop at Starbucks on our way to art? I was thinking which Starbucks was on the way. None that I knew of. You thought I was considering if we would stop at all. I needed to make my thoughts evident so we could figure out how to get you what you wanted together. The only Starbucks I can think of is by Safeway. I was mapping out loud. This was not our usual way to art, but I could reroute and take your feedback into consideration if you knew of a Starbucks I wasn't considering. Okay. On our way, you filled me in on your social life. I adore your friends and appreciate the confidence you have in our connection that you spill the tea, what your generation calls what my generation called gossip. The tea filled the space until we reached the Starbucks drive-thru window. You handed me your phone so I could use your virtual Starbucks card that you just replenished with my credit card. This was how you got all those Starbucks stars. At the open cashier window, I held your phone out, dangling it face down from my open window, waiting for the cashier, distracted by taking another's order, and waited while your phone dangled out the window, face down. I think it's going to take her a bit. This was your subtle form of feedback that I didn't get. Yeah, still dangling your phone out. Mom, you're making me nervous holding my phone out like that, face down. It could drop. I couldn't contain the laugh. I related to that moment of something valuable held out in danger of being smashed. The metaphor was too perfect. I turned to you, phone still dangling out, knowing I had a firm hold. Do you get it? Yeah, I get that if you drop it, you're paying to have it fixed. The perfection of that moment only grew, but I also knew you were not open to receive the beauty of the metaphor. You were too concerned about the potential loss of something you valued. Before I could make my point, I needed to put your mind at ease. Forget the absurdity of the statement, I would pay to have it fixed, like all the other times I'd paid to have your devices fixed. I can't even recall how many cracked screens I'd paid for. I've not demanded you pay either financially or through being the recipient of harsh words or criticism. I simply set up the appointment at 1 hour device, which never took an hour, or called our provider to get a new one shipped out. But none of this could be said in that moment because it would all have been heard through your mind, which was not at ease, and therefore would have been heard as criticism. Instead, I pulled your phone into the car and held it in my lap, smiling. You turned away with a confused smile. The cashier turned her attention to me. I held your phone out, paid, and received our order. The tension lifted, just in time for us to return to the road to your art class. In the back of my mind, I wondered when I could reveal the perfection of the metaphor as you continued the tea. Baby, do you see there is a safety net for you that your friends don't really have? I found a tiny space to slip an insight as you spilled the tea. Yes, but hitting that safety net hurts too. That's because you aren't hitting the net. You move outside its range. I went too far. I missed the mark. I felt the tension rise. You went quiet. Do you feel judged by my statement? Yes. I knew I was on tricky ground, unsure how to proceed, knowing the window had closed, or maybe it wasn't ever open. Mom, you know how it is. I can't be seen with a net. People will think I'm coddled. I need to strike out on my own. I had just pulled into the parking spot closest to the stairs that led up to your art class. You were already heading out of the car as you made your statement. Baby, I really want to continue this conversation later. We're not going to fight, are we? I placed my hand over my heart. No, baby, I really want to understand your perspective. I'd love to continue the conversation after your art class if you are willing. You gently closed the door and ascended the stairs. I pulled away in shock, in shame. I felt like I'd gone too far. I misread an opening, regretting past moments of ardent conversations that led you to think we would fight over this. Because my impassioned pleas sounded a lot like a fight to anyone outside my head. Just like your anxious request, I bring your dangling phone back into the car to avoid damage. The impassioned pleas to protect what we care for sounds an awful lot like an act of aggression. How could I convey what I saw from the incorporated reflection of this picture in our home at the entry that so clearly showed me what I was trying to convey the previous day as we drove together to art class, you spilling the tea, me and your brother at your back, sitting, him covering his eyes, draped in my arm, my hand on you, gently, not holding you back or pushing you forward. You punching your way in that world of the 8-sided window with 4 panes making each section look like a diamond. You standing strong, bearing a savage belly, golden fairy lights magically connecting us. I waited, in my cozy chair, or a love seat. I think it must be a love seat, backed by nature, because you come home. You always come home.